Hi. So this is going to be a video response to VBFL 920. Um, and first off, I just want to say, you need to make more videos, dude. Uh, you're one of these guys who makes a video every once in a while, and it's really interesting and really good, and then you're just kind of gone for a while, except in maybe in text comments here or there. But make more videos. They're good. This video though, I have a couple, comment praising your videos and then attacking. I don't want to attack the video, but criticizing the video. I have a couple problems with the way you argue against Rob about the atrocity. Does atheism cause atrocities? Bit. I think I kind of hate this discussion about whether or not atheism causes atrocities, or if there's any link between atheism and atrocities at all. I kind of hate it because I just don't fucking care who's right at all. I don't care if atheism it just seems like the whole argument seems on both sides. When atheists try to talk about religion causing atrocities and vice versa, and when both sides try to defend themselves, I just don't see what bearing it has on anything at all. It just seems like really like dirty and shady, and it's like the most for me it's like one of the most propagandized sections of the whole God debate, because even if one side could ever be shown to be right, what would it mean? I mean, what would the substance be? It would just it seems to me that all that would be gained would be some sort of strong piece of propaganda to show to people who are on the fence, maybe. But it's not actually a substantive victory. It wouldn't be a substantive victory if any side could ever actually be shown to be in the right. But anyway, I'm gonna talk about your video a little bit. First, you actually, this isn't about your video, but you referenced it in your video. I didn't watch Rob the Monk's video. I don't have internet in my apartment yet, and so I have to like load up all the videos I want to watch in Starbucks before I come home, and then watch them at home. So I didn't really realize that your video was. I mean, I realized that it was a response, but I didn't bother to load up the video it was a response to, which was probably stupid. But so I didn't see his video, so I can't personally attest to this, but you do, and I'm gonna trust you. It's about the at the beginning you talk about how Rob the Monk tries to use the is-ought distinction to say that atheism describes what reality is, therefore no actions should follow from that. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if this is how he uses the is-ought distinction in his video, but if it is, it's totally wrong. That's not what the is-ought distinction is about at all. The is-ought distinction it says nothing about, okay, if there's this given state of affairs, what types of actions or what types of behaviors are likely to follow from that state of affairs. That's not what it's about. It's about, given a state of affairs, whether or not any moral imperatives follow from that state of affairs. So it's not about whether or not a certain state of affairs is likely to generate a specific action. That's I don't know what that is. Something else entirely. That's psychology, or behavioral psychology. But it's not. It has nothing to do with the is-ought distinction. The is-ought distinction is about whether or not we can get moral imperatives, oughts, from given states of affairs. But anyway, I'm gonna move on. So, you say a lot in your video. given given the fact that atheism implies moral nihilism, which is what you hold to, which is what you contend. Given this, and we're telling people there are no rights and wrongs. You say essentially, what do you expect people to do? What makes sense for people to do if they believe that there are no rights and wrongs? And we're all supposed to say, oh well, it would make sense then that they would do whatever they wanted. If they want to, kill all the Jews, they would kill all the Jews. If they wanted to rape all the women, they would rape all the women, and et cetera, et cetera. But this strikes me as not a very powerful argument, because it's really just pitting your intuitions about what people would do on being told there are no rights and wrongs versus everyone else's intuitions about what would happen in those circumstances. So it's really just a question of your intuition versus my intuition, or versus someone else's intuition. And if those intuitions differ, then what's left to say? What conversation is there left to be had? So if you ask me, what do I expect people to do if they're told that there's no right and wrongs, that there's no right and no wrong? If I just said to you, oh, well, I would expect them to go on living, in pretty much the same way they are now, be cordial to one another, maybe fall into some spiteful behaviors or some angry behaviors from time to time, but in general, I would expect most people to go on living, the way they are now, basically. That would be my intuition. And if your intuition is you would expect people to start killing and raping and stealing, it seems like the conversation kind of has to end there, because we don't have any there's not much to go on other than our own intuitions, and that's a weak argument to make to me, because if someone just disagrees, if they just have a different intuition, then the argument has to stop. I mean, I think Theo Warner made a video, or he mentioned in one of his videos something about this. He referenced the movie Groundhog Day, and offered up this analysis of the film, which I thought was a good analysis of the movie. That what Groundhog Day, and I hope I'm assuming you've seen it. It's about Bill Murray's character is stuck in the same day, and he lives the same day over and over again, and he goes through this sort of these stages where first, yeah, he starts slapping people and saying mean things and stealing things and blah blah blah. But he tries to kill himself and tries to kill everyone else, and trying to get out of it. So for a time, he does follow your intuition and sort of decline into this destructive, morally repugnant lifestyle. But then after that, he starts to teach himself different languages and music, and he helps people and stuff like that. So what Theo Warner's point is that in Groundhog Day, the movie, we have a vision of an intuition that differs from yours, which says, with no moral constraints, in a world with no morals, which is Bill Murray's world in the movie, because there's no consequences whatsoever for any of his actions, because the exact same day will happen over and over and over again for infinity, as far as he knows. So there are no moral consequences at all. The intuition behind the film suggests that we would not descend into violence and negativity, but we would rather choose to do higher things with ourselves. We would be kinder to each other, and we would teach ourselves. We would read and watch movies and become more cultured and better people overall. So your argument there basically breaks down to competing intuitions, and there are legitimate intuitions on both sides, and when they clash, there's not much we can do. So that seems like a weak argument to me. But more than that, and this isn't necessarily just a response to you or your video, but it's something that I think in general about this topic. I feel like a lot of this topic, when people talk about it, it just turns into people talking past one another, because the language that gets used by the two sides is totally, or almost totally, incompatible. I mean, you talk about, if moral nihilism is necessitated by atheism, right? Which is plausible to me. I'm not gonna hammer you on that. Although you do just kind of assume it while you're criticizing Rob the Monk for not arguing for his position that it doesn't necessitate moral nihilism. You don't really argue for your position that it does. I'm sure you do elsewhere, but you don't here in this video. So if atheism implies moral nihilism, then when you ask something like, when you tell morally fallible beings that there's no right or wrong, what do you expect them to do? That question it's not even coherent if moral nihilism is true. So if you're talking to an atheist, right, who in your eyes is also a moral nihilist, what sense would it make to ask that person anything about morally fallible beings? Because to that person, a morally fallible being doesn't exist, because there isn't any morality to either live up to or not live up to. So you can't be fallible with respect to that morality, because it doesn't exist. So to even ask that question of someone who you assume in your head is a moral nihilist doesn't make any sense. And that's I think the problem with this conversation in general a lot of the time, is that the theists want to say, oh, atheism assumes, atheism, it necessitates moral nihilism. A lot of times the atheists agree, but then the theists still want to talk to the atheists about morally wrong actions, right? So even the question of the atrocity, like if atheism necessitates, or if the atheism generates atrocities, so what to the atheist, right? If they're truly a moral nihilist, so what, and so to press that issue and to say, oh well, the atheism leads to these atrocities. To say that atheism leads to atrocities, but it also leads to moral nihilism, one of those things doesn't matter in light of the other. And that's, the atrocities don't matter in the light of moral nihilism, if we take moral nihilism seriously. So that's, I think, a larger problem with this discussion that I see a lot, is just that the language on both sides just doesn't translate, And I don't mean to pick on the theists. When the atheists want to talk to the theists then about the same stuff, there's similar problems with translation, because if the atheist is a moral nihilist, then he's trying to say, oh, this doesn't matter or that doesn't matter, when it does to the theist, because it is immoral and it is morally problematic. Not to mention the fact that a lot of times when the atheists, want to say, oh well, Christianity has killed all these people, the Crusades, it's caused all these, trauma for children, Again, if the atheist is a moral nihilist, they have really no business bringing any of this stuff up, because none of it matters. So, those are just some of my thoughts. Like I said, that's not really a specific criticism of your video. It's just something that I think needs to be kept in mind whenever anyone wants to participate in this dialogue, is that a lot of the language on both sides just doesn't translate, and I think there's not a whole lot to be said on the issue. So thanks. Make more videos.